What's up? This is D-Hop, aka I'm here doing a far-fetched theory about Hunter x Hunter. Another one. This one we'll talk about particularly Nen and the restrictions and pleasures that you can do on yourself or in order to make your Nen more powerful. Now, let's go through how exactly you get more powerful when you do restriction and pleasures and give examples of that. So when you put a restriction on yourself, the greater of value and the danger, or more so the seriousness and intensity that restriction you put on yourself or on your Nen. For example, it could be like death. The more powerful your Nen becomes, especially like the law of equivalent exchange. And so far, officially we see two characters that did this, but theoretically, so far there's actually three characters that do this. The first character that does this is Kurapika, and he did this with his Nen chains, and his restrictions were: one, if he tried to kill anyone other than the Fanish Fruit, and the chain around his heart or next to his heart will stab and kill him. So actually that one is actually two restriction in one, because his power is only limited towards the Fanish Fruit alone, not anyone else. So that boosts the power up. And also, since he included death on that same restriction, that boosts the power up even more. And of course, along with his red eyes, that takes him to a whole nother level. And another thing is, all his chains can be used on other people as long as not the judgment chains, whatever. But he can use other chains on other people. For example, recently in the manga, spoilers, he used one of his chains that can detect lies, and he was able to detect one of the traders amongst the Zodiacs on the ship. But that's Kurapika, and that's his restriction and pleasures. Next person that did it was Gon. Gon is so far special because he put so much restriction on his body or to retain as much power as possible, that his Nen basically got his powers from the future, and it grew his body to its maximum potential that was within Gon at that certain point of time. So what Gon gave up was obviously his life, his ability to use Nen, all of his Nen, his maximum potential. Some can say even his humanity. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Because he just didn't care anymore. He was like, fuck it, I give everything up, every single thing. And we see when later on Gone, he, in a way, I guess he could call it, he was dead. But I don't think he was dead. But at the same time, I don't think he was alive either. When I look at that, I see it more as like he was somewhere outside the realms of death and life. You see that his body was pretty much dead, and he was being kept alive with the hospital's technology, medical technology. But his Nen was surrounding him, and then it kind of looked like residual Nen. That reminded me of residual Nen when you see the black aura around him. So it was like he was like not in between, but kind of like outside at the same time. So I don't know what that was. I don't know what God did to himself. And when the Nen exorcist went to go exercise it, he was like, "Whoa, this burden is way too much." Like he's on a whole nother level. And so far, that's the most severe we seen in the series when someone used restrictions on their Nen. Now, the next one we'll talk about that's more theoretical is Aluka. Now, Aluka is similar. Her powers is similar to the same thing. Or so I say something. Nanika. Nanika's powers is similar to using Nen, as far as the current stains and put restrictions. So one example is that if you can she'll ask for 4 requests, and if you do the 4 requests, then she asks for a wish. And depending on the wish, how much you ask for, there's a cost for that wish, right? And depending on what type of wish it is, like the intentions behind it, it depends on the the effects, whether it be little effects or bad effects. For example, one of the butlers, she asked for billions of dollars and she got it. However, in the stage of that, it caused all people to die. It caused a plane crash. Yeah, I think it was a plane crash. All the people died. All the people close to her died. All the people close to her that was close to her died, and it just caused all this death and stuff like that. So like that, her whole Nen power itself is basically destruction of pleasures. This is a little bit interesting, but I'm gonna get to that. So there's a theory that Luca actually comes from the Dark Continent, or more so Nanika, the thing that's inside her. And they say that Nanika could actually be AI, one of the five calamities, the gaseous ethereal type life forms, like more so kind of like spirit type beings. And you see in the manga spoilers when they show this, the people who died, the bodies that suffer from I look exactly like the bodies that Nanika caused to die. They look exactly the same. So that theory is probably correct. But the thing I'm trying to point here is that there's a if there is any connection between these three people who use restrictions on the Nen, is that they all have, according to my theory too, the Gon connection, dark content theory. If you haven't watched that yet, go check it out. But Kurapika, Gon, and Luca, who most likely possibly have some type of connection to Dark Continent, all three of them have done the restriction of pleasures, and they're like the only characters that we've seen so far that use this technique when we get more. Yeah, they use this technique when they're more powerful, or it's part of their powers, or it is part of their powers. And that technique is the law of equivalent exchange, And if so far we've seen this restriction technique used on people who who has been theorized and most likely have some type of connection to Dark Continent. So the far-fetched theory is that Togashi's probably saying something about this. Maybe there's clues in here that something about when you do that to yourself. There's something more we're gonna find out within the Dark Continent, and there's probably something about Nen itself that we're gonna discover, like the truth of Nen, where Nen comes from, and how it works. Because the battle center for Nen has yet to be completed. And the only specials that we saw is Kurapika. So there's way more stuff that we have yet to discover. So the thing I'm gonna go into is, what is the origin of Nen? So we know that Nen is the life force within all life. And everybody has a little bit of Nen. However, you can train over time to build your Nen powers up to a higher level. And that's what Wing said to Gon and Killua back during the Heaven's Arena arc. Now, when I'm thinking about these things, I'm making theories, so I'm trying to think in a certain way. So when I think about it, I'm like, wait a minute. So each and every single life form has a little bit of this Nen, like a little bit, only a little bit. But okay, so start right there. Now keep that in mind. Going to Dark Continent, we know we're gonna see a lot of stuff. Now I'm gonna go back to my Gon's connection to Gon's connection to the Dark Continent video. I'm gonna refer back to that right now. If you haven't seen that right now, go to watch it. I think it's 4 parts. I'll give you a second. Alright, here we go. Let's get started. So I made a theory that the world tree, it reminded me of the Tsukuyomi tree from Naruto, or aka the Jubi. And we know that all chakra and Naruto came from that, and everybody has a little bit of the chakra within them, which all came from the tree, the Sugiyoni tree, or the Jubi. And I said, when I think about the world tree, it reminds me of the Jubi tree, and it has. So in the Hunter x Hunter world, we don't know everything about the world tree either. We just know that they're really really huge, but there's still a lot to discover about them. And I made all these crazy theories about civilizations living there, all these different ecosystems or whatever. So my thing is, what if Nen, all Nen in the Hunter x Hunter world, originally came from the Earth itself, and somehow through certain means by nature or some type of interference by non-nature things, did Nen um, give birth to life or was inserted to all the life within the planet. So I wanted to explain this further. So like there's two ways I'm thinking right now. Either one, the life already existed within the planet and then somehow was given or was input into life, and this caused life to evolve even further in, into the next level. And that's why we see all these crazy different type of creatures and stuff like that within the Hunter x Hunter world, such as the Chimera ants. Or two, life itself. The reason why life itself exists is because of Nen, and from there, with Nen being a factor in giving birth to life, this life form or the single cell organism, whatever, where life began, the cradle of life, whatever, in the Hunter world, start to spread out, multiply, and evolve into a different type of species. And when I think of this, it reminds me of the Chimera ants and what Mary said. Now we know that this battle was very philosophical and more with the different ideologies and psychological complexities of Netero and Miriam. However, maybe it also has something to do with the Hunter world itself. Miriam, when Netero did his zero hand and failed to destroy Miriam, Miriam started worrying about his species and how he was the culmination of everything, and that all your other species existed in order for my kind to create me. I am the peak of evolution. This is only destiny. Like, this is my purpose. This the purpose of life on this planet was to create me and for me to rule all over to rule over all organisms. I am the superior being. I am the perfect creature. I am the king. That's what Merrill is saying, and he's saying that you human beings who have human ego and individuality can't compare to what the Chimera ants did, and can't compare to me as a whole. Now, it's interesting because the Chimera ants powers themselves. They have the ability to eat other creatures and take the genetic material and pass it down. And then in another video I made, I think it was with the Chimera ants. I think it's called More Chimera Ants on a Dark Continent. I think it was that one, or it could be the crazy far-fetched theory I made. But I don't know. I said it somewhere. I said that the Chimera ant's ability is very special because it's like the power of nature itself. DNA, to pass the DNA on to pass the DNA from other creatures onto your children, it will evolve further and over time cultivating and culminating into one powerful creature, which was a king. That really is interesting. And that power is very unique with the confines of the world. And I think it's also unique, period. Like, imagine that species is like that. That would change the whole. In real life, that would change how we would think of the universe and how the universe works. If something like the Chimera ants actually existed. So my thing is going back to how I said everything started from one thing, and because of Nen was like one of the factors, the catalyst that caused things to evolve. And that reminds me how the Chimera ants work. They start from one thing, eat, spread, eat, spread, eat, spread, evolve, and they eat other species and take their genetic material. And then the ultimate goal is to create the king or kings, and to rule over the other organisms that was eaten. And it's interesting because DNA I'm not a scientist, but DNA, it, takes the genetics um, of the past organism, such as your mother, your father, your grandfather, your grandmother, your great grandmother, your great grandfather, and all the way down the course of history to keep going, whatever. Yeah, you keep going into where the source is. It takes that information and it takes it and it's in a way it's actually thinking and planning and calculating and generating different genetic codings. So when the next generation is born, whatever DNA, whatever how DNA came out or came together and stuff to make that life form, this new life form, is what it encoded it to be or to become. And it's interesting to say that because of DNA, this is how life continues on. And this thing makes you think about the koala. When he was talking to Kite, the girl version of Kite, he was going on about the deep stuff about DNA and how this small thing has so much information and so much that we don't know about the universe around us and blah 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 and talk about the human soul, whatever. And it's interesting to think about how DNA is actually um, making DNA is making. What I think DNA would make human beings think about and contemplate about DNA itself and actually go in and try to change genetic structure for their own purposes or their own reasons and ambitions. And the thing about that is, if you try to do that, you think that you you're doing it and you're not being influenced by some outside force. You're just doing it out of your own human ability. But it's also interesting that maybe it's DNA that's encoding DNA to change itself. I know that was hard to do. I've been thinking about it, but I just threw that out there. But you get what I'm talking about. So I'm thinking about the Hunter x Hunter world. When we start going to a dark continent. I think the idea of genetics and Nen is going to connect it, like more connected than we think, and we're going to find out the absolute truth of life within the confines of that world. And the Chimera ants, I said it's going to be more Chimera ants. And I don't think the Chimera ants are done yet, and there's going to be more of them on the continent. And the Nen itself is a mystery, and the way I said that maybe Nen came from there's a source of Nen, and because of that, that's how all life is spread through all life um, through DNA. And I was saying earlier how the people who have used restrictions and pledges on their Nen so far has been people who are possibly connected to the Dark Continent. So there's just different things and clues that I see within the Hunter x Hunter series that I think they are connected. So the final thing I'm gonna go into the restrictions. What I think that where the true purpose is. So the whole idea is if we have something resolve, emotionally resolve, a strong emotion, whatever, that allows you to be able to put restriction on yourself. Because then it's like spirit, whatever, is connected to your soul. So it really whatever happens to you, whatever type of emotional state you're in, your mental emotional state that affects your Nen. Excuse me. So far we've seen that Kurapika, when his His clan's eyes turn red. That's due to emotions being heightened, and really he can control that. Gon's power came from his crazy emotions, mostly rage. And we see Nanika. I don't know about her. I don't know what that has to do with emotions, but we see that it has something connected to emotions, more so human emotions. And I think that by saying this, the humans that exist in the current human hunter world, like the known world, they are actually not, you know, the first human race. And I think they're not only that they're not the first human race, but I think they're also more so the descendants of the original human race. And like the original human race who not here or they still exist on the dark continent, the human I should say human original human race is. I think they are actually more advanced than our current humans that we know of so far. And why there are humans that left the dark continent? Because maybe they all humans originally came from the dark continent, and why they're there, I don't know. And I'm thinking that it's kind of like Pangea. Maybe like all the known world used to be part of the dark continent, and it's probably some type of history behind that. But I don't feel like going to that. But it's interesting thing to think about. So far, I talk about DNA, the origin of men, um, restrictions and pledges, and how so far the people who use that possibly have connection to the dark continent. That tells me that a lot of origins, a lot of things that we know of originate from the dark continent. And probably there's a one single source to everything. So let me ask you a question also. What exactly is Nen? I mean, we know it's life force, but like, where did this come from? I mean, could I said earlier, I was talking about the world trees and how they're very mysterious. It reminded me of the Jubi from Naruto. Maybe the world tree was the first life form with that had Nen, of course, because that's only to have only to be life, you have to have a Nen. And from there on, from that tree, that's where life started to be born somewhere. Because we don't know what's exactly inside the tree. You know, the bark or under the ground, its roots. Because I'm pretty sure its roots is freaking huge and up in the tree. Because we definitely don't know what's up there. And since it goes up into the atmosphere, that changes the whole like ecosystem, whatever. Like it could be anything because like up in the atmosphere, it's different type of environment, different type of situations that will cause different effects um between different types of matter and the other. So that's what I'm saying, that my theory is that somehow something to do with the world tree that has something to do with the origin on Nen, and that's and basically Nen the Nen got spread out through different life forms as all the life forms start evolving. And that's why every single life form only has a little bit of Nen. Not a lot, but they all born a little bit. As if it's pieces of a whole. Or pieces of a whole that used to be one. Furthermore, um, maybe there's like a single purpose to all this, to all the like. Maybe there's a grander scheme in the Hunter world. Like the Qual was saying, that there's so much that we don't know about our universe, and we should find a place within it. Maybe the humans in the Hunter world actually have a place. There's there's an ultimate purpose behind all of it. And that's what the Cameron was saying, was like, you can't beat me because it's this destiny. Like I was the Khmer ants were made or evolved in order to bore me, the king. They program us to be able to take other DNA and born more powerful creatures. I was born to be the king of all organisms because I'm the culmination of all those different types of genetics of different type of creatures. He's trying to, and the way he was saying it, he was like, "This is like how it is what meant to be. This is what nature um drive for. This is how nature, you know, set this all up." And I think Nen is a very important factor within all this. And I think that the people from the Dark Continent who are there have an important role too. And the thing I think about Ging, I don't know how much Ging knows, but I think Ging knows a lot more than he has yet to reveal. And it has something to do with Gon. Because Ging is God and Gon. We all know this. And I said that in my video, even though that video wasn't really a far-fetched theory, I messed up on that. But I tried to expound more on it, but I wasn't there. But I think that Ging there's more. Ging actually cares more about Gon than we think. I mean, care. I don't mean exactly in the father and son thing. So I'm not sure about that, but care in the sense that Gon is important to him because it's something about Gon that he knows. It's something about the world of Hunter x Hunter that he knows also, and he needs Gon for something. Like he's doing something to Gon. There's a reason why he's putting Gon through all this, and it seems like it's like I don't know. It's almost like Ging's kind of like you know who can compare this to? I guess in Madara, how Madara wanted to find out all the secrets and stuff, or more so like not Orochimaru, but yeah, I don't know, forget that. But Ging just he knows a lot more because like I can tell by Ging's personality when he talked to Gon at the end of the anime whatever. He said he mentioned the Dark Continent. Gon was like, huh? And he was like, that's something that they didn't teach you in your history books. So when I think of that, I'm thinking that Ging is the type of person that's like, I want to find the truth. Like I don't want to believe whatever. I want to know. I want to see what's out there. And I think he does know. He knows a lot, but he doesn't know everything. But he's almost there. And Gon's an important factor in this. And whatever wherever Gon comes from, and if it's the Dark Continent, I don't know. It has something to do with it. So I don't know. I think we all know that Gon's not normal. But the reason why he's not normal, if it has something to do with the Dark Continent, and if Gon is from a different type of tribe or race of humans or whatever, or if he's something entirely different, then he might play a huge role within the upcoming arcs. So yeah, and I think the groups, like the main groups of a Hunt Hunter world, the Zodiac family, the Phantom Troop, Gon, and Ging, and what else? Who else? Yeah, Zodiac family, Phantom Troop, Gon, and Ging. Okay, the three main groups. Yeah, besides the Hunter Association, those three, groups of people, they have a lot more connection to each other, and then I think it's like I don't think it's just the Hunter Hunter world. It's just different things happening. They have no type of connection to each other. It's just things going through what they're going through. I think it's more to it, a lot more to it. So yeah, and as I watch Hunter Hunter more and more, and waiting around for the manga to come out, which I think hopefully might be this year. The more I think about things, and the more I'm seeing all these clues. Now I could be completely wrong because this is a far-fetched theory, of course, but hey, it's fun to think about. And until then, I'm going to keep on coming with these theories. So this is D Hop, aka the Weed, and that was my theory about the origin of Nen and how does the world and things of that matter. So peace. Soul out.